All right, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla Barnes-Lentz, a female longevity expert, and today I am going to be in the hot seat talking about a topic that I get asked quite a bit, and we're going to be talking about Botox. Do I do Botox? What are the longevity implications? Why do I do Botox? Do I do filler? What are my thoughts on these potential medical interventions? So let's start with the first thing. So the first question, I'll be very direct, is do you get Botox? Some people say that I shouldn't do Botox. Some people don't really care. But yes, I have been getting what I believe to be a cleaner form of Botox called Xeomin, which I will talk about in a second. I have been doing what I have been told is called like baby Botox, so it's a smaller amount, primarily in the forehead, but I do this other form of Botox called Xeomin. So for a second, let's talk about that. So obviously Botox is a botulinum toxin. It works by blocking the release of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that makes the muscles contract. This temporary muscle relaxation can last like 3 to 4 months, sometimes more. I don't need it so often because I've been doing it, so the muscle's kind of already frozen. But it can also be used for things like chronic migraine prevention, excessive sweating, overactive bladder, a bunch of different things, eye conditions, etc. So Botox has been FDA approved since 1989 for medical interventions and then 2002 for cosmetic interventions. Cosmetic doses are very small and localized. Common side effects can be temporary redness, swelling, or bruising at the injection site. Rare but possible are headache, droopy lid, or flu-like symptoms. There is zero evidence to say that it shortens lifespan or accelerates biological aging when used in a standard dose. So Xeomin versus Botox. So Xeomin, they like to call it a naked toxin. So there are no accessory proteins, which may reduce the risk of antibody resistance. So in short, I was told by my medical provider that it was the healthier version, but I'm also under no guise that I am adding a neurotoxin electively to my life. So let's talk about this. Number one, as I've told you, I do Botox, not super often, but when I went to look into the longevity research, is this potentially impacting my longevity in a negative way? Let's talk about what I found. So clinical studies and long-term registry data shows that when used at topical cosmetic doses, Botox is generally safe. The toxin doesn't circulate in any measurable amounts and it stays localized to that muscle area. Long-term studies over 10 and 20 years have not shown any increased risk of cancer, neurodegenerative disease, or reduced lifespan. There's no evidence that Botox shortens life expectancy or negatively affects longevity, any of the mTOR pathways, AMPK, SAR2ins, nothing. There's no data on that. The indirect health factors. So even repeated Botox injections don't appear to damage immune systems like the liver or kidney or detox systems. There have been a few rare transient side effects, meaning they don't stay, like eye drooping, headache, or even flu-like symptoms. But again, those are transient. Aging perception versus biology. Botox affects appearance, not cellular or systemic aging. It doesn't slow or accelerate biological age markers, telomeres, epigenetic clocks, etc. There are some upsides. So some small studies suggest that Botox may reduce chronic pain, tension headaches, or even depression in some certain individuals. Conditions could directly impact and improve health span by lowering stress and inflammation. The bottom line from the research that I've done, I've run this through multiple AI models, is that getting Botox to 3 times even per year at a cosmetic dose is extremely unlikely to reduce any longevity. It doesn't interact with core longevity pathways. It doesn't accelerate systemic aging. So for someone living an otherwise healthy lifestyle, and I'll talk to you about what I mean by saying that, it should not be impacting my longevity. With that being said, I think it's a very personal decision. The older that I get, it's funny, I actually feel like I started using Botox because us as women have been very conditioned to never even want to think about seeing a line. But as I get older, more mature, I am actually more excited and I plan on stopping Botox. So the last time that I had it done months ago will be probably the last time, not only because I intend on getting pregnant and I won't be able to do it then, but I also want to see what's possible in terms of true skin rejuvenation. We know that Botox is not rejuvenating the skin. With things like lasers, I'm going to be doing a CO2 laser. I will report before and after back with you. Consistent microneedling and PRP. I'm also going to be using stem cell therapy, which will ideally be able to help with improving the skin quality even more. So it's a very personal decision. I think people look beautiful with Botox. I think they look beautiful without Botox. I am excited to try all of these interventions, the lasers, the red light, all of that, to see what I can really do. And just for you to have a little bit more background information on me, I spent a ton of time in the sun, in tanning beds. I mean, I literally remember a day that I went in the tanning bed twice. I mean, I look back on that and I'm like, what was I thinking? Why was I allowed to do that? But it's what happened. I still don't fear the sun. I still go out for morning walks. I get some sun midday. I'm out and about. I get sun in the evening hours. So I do wear a mineral sunscreen on my face and neck now, or a sun hat to like physically block or be a barrier for sun exposure, but I have a lot of damage to reverse. So, you know, it's interesting, this entire world of longevity, you're immediately judged on your appearance, which I'm happy with my appearance. I always want to be improving. I want to be reversing the signs of aging, not gathering more per se, but you know, it's just an interesting place to be. So yes, I use Botox. I talked about some of the longevity impacts or potential longevity impacts, seemingly so, not so many. But now I want to talk about how I would actually gauge if I were to introduce Botox at a certain time. So I've talked all about in many videos this total toxic burden. This is a measurement of environmental toxins, heavy metals, molds and mycotoxins. And for me, I'm always looking at this total toxic burden prior to electively injecting a toxin of any kind, including even travel, things of that nature if I can avoid it. So for the most part, over the last 5 to 6 years that I've been tracking my total toxic burden, my toxic load has been incredibly low, optimal, as we would say. During those times, I feel much more confident about introducing a new toxin potentially. Why do I say this? Well, first of all, we all have different size cups, right? So our genetics determine the size of our cup. My cup is fairly large. I have pretty good detox pathways. Things are working pretty well on a detox level and from a genetic standpoint. So my cup might be bigger, but your cup could be smaller. Then you look at how many hits are you adding to that cup? Are you being sedentary? Are you not exercising? Are you exposed to many environmental toxins in the form of personal care products, makeup, shampoo, fragrance, etc.? Each one of those is going to fill up your cup a little bit. You get to a point where your cup then tips over. That's when chronic disease presents itself. I am keeping my cup so low all the time outside of the LA fires. So when I had that high toxic burden in the LA fires, I didn't even think about doing Botox during that time. I'm like, whoa, my cup is already way too full. I don't know how much more I can add to this cup before it tips over. So obviously that's a point in which you want to reel back adding any elective toxins. So my point in saying all this is if you're concerned about any negative side effects from Botox, and look, although the data doesn't say there are longevity, deleterious, or negative impacts, I have known individuals, I went on a podcast with someone who did have a negative impact of Botox. And my best assumption there would be that the cup was already so full that the Botox was what tipped that cup over. If she had known, potentially, this is just me guessing, but her medical doctor could advise better, what the cup looked like at that point, or had the lifestyle completely dialed in and toxins completely reduced at that point, I think the potential for the Botox to cause a significant reaction would have been much less. So at the end of the day, Botox is your choice. I support either, but I don't want to say it's a replacement. Like I'm still doing proper skincare. I'm using a retinol. I'll do a whole video on my skincare that I'm doing right now. I'm doing vitamin C and the ferulic acid, I believe, from SkinCeuticals during the day. I am protecting my skin now, which I wasn't in the past. I am doing red light therapy. I do have the Lima laser. I have done a couple of soft wave sessions, so that's like RF tightening, and I plan on putting together a really robust skin anti-aging protocol with modalities that actually improve the skin health, not just mask it like Botox does. So there we go. Botox is a closed chapter now, so let's talk about filler. So have I ever tried filler? The answer is also yes, primarily lip filler. I have not had filler in other areas. So I did do lip filler several years ago. In full transparency, within the last 1 year, there was, after I got the filler, the injector that I was going to see, there were like a little bit of bumps. And obviously I was bothered by that because it was so many years ago. I feel as if it's been gone. You know, we don't know how quickly filler actually leaves the body, if it does entirely ever. So she had told me that she felt like the injections that had been done before had actually been the wrong product, and that it had caused some tissue damage to my bottom lip, and that the bumps would probably not go away because she didn't see them as actually being filler. She saw it as an injury where the tissue had been damaged. With that being said, I asked her best advice, like, should we try to dissolve that area? Does she think that would be best? Or how can we make it even? Because in order to have a really confident smile, you don't want your bottom lip to be bumpy, or at least I don't. And I do care about these things. So she said, let's add a little tiny bit on one side to help even and smooth that out. So we did do that. So It wasn't about changing the shape or the size of my lips. I actually very specifically said my husband does not like lip filler, which is very true. My husband's very adverse to doing anything to my face. So yes, I had a little bit there that I ran past him. He was okay with, only because it wasn't changing the size, the shape, the volume. It was really just to help even things out. Haven't gone as deep on HA or hyaluronic acid fillers as I have done on Botox. If you're interested in me doing that, let me know. From the medical providers that I've spoken with, HA is something that is naturally produced by the body. There shouldn't be any longevity implications. I think we've definitely way overdone it in terms of filler in our current society. I'm excited to see that like slimmer, less filled faces are definitely becoming more popular, which is great. So I don't have as much details on filler, but happy to do the research if you'd like me to. But from what I understand from medical providers that I have worked with is that filler doesn't really have a substantial negative impact on longevity. I would still say the same stand. So if you're introducing a filler, that you look at your total toxic burden, because again, adding something foreign, even if it seems biocompatible, I'm not sure the exact biocompatibility, but yeah, so have tried filler, don't intend on doing filler anytime now or in the future whatsoever. I hope that this can answer your questions for you guys. If you have additional questions, you can drop them in the comments. That is my stance and personal experience with Botox and filler. And I do really look forward to rolling out this skin longevity protocol for you ladies. So let me know what you think in the comments.